welcome back once again to what we think is the 6th episode of our video podcast series here on Aurovine. With me, as always, Ken. How you doing?
Hi Dave, yeah, really good, thank you.
And we're going to get straight into it because we've got two great artists to talk about today. Two great female artists from different parts of the world. We have Naomi Neuts from the States and Huiya Chen from China.
Yeah, now based in the States, and some of you will remember Naomi from a previous podcast when we spoke about her debut single, which was called Mosaic. That's had a great reception across the media and the music world in general. She's now gone on to produce, I think she's actually on a third one, but the one we're going to look at today is a track called Voice Prints. I think we'll start with Naomi, shall we, Dave? Voice Prints is, the story of the song is basically voice prints are those invisible words and noises that you don't hear when you walk into a room when people have been perhaps speaking about you unkindly. Everybody knows they're there. It's like the elephant in the room, but it's quite a good way of describing it, really. Voice prints, and I think partner Derek has composed the music once again, and I think they've also taken on board. There was a lot of feedback they got on the first single from various sources like Reverb Nation and obviously ourselves and one or two other people that they'd spoken to, and I think they took that on board, and the new song has got more of a organic feeling to it. I'm not sure personally. I think I like the melody and maybe the song Mosaic a little bit more than this one, but I think in terms of taking on the advice and some of the critique on Mosaic, they've certainly got the production spot on this one. The drums that were a little bit off-putting on Mosaic when they kicked in, kind of they had that incongruous feel to the rest of the track, didn't they? But on this one, no such anomalies, and again it highlights Naomi's voice really well. Absolutely.
I think it's a great introduction, Ken. Let's have a listen to the track.
Naomi's put a YouTube video up which talks about the song and the way it's been written and what it's about, so I thought it would be nice to play a little bit of that interview, and then we'll go straight into the audio.
Who better to explain the song than the woman herself?
Hi everyone, I just wanted to give you a quick update on my music and what's happening. Voice Prints was released to the market so that it could be purchased on the 14th of October, and now we're working on our third song, which is a song about when someone joins the military and they go through the initial training, what happens. And I personally feel that it's personality death that happens. I don't want to call the song that, so I have a challenge for all of you to come up with a name for my third song, and whoever comes up with the name that we choose will give you the song for free, and we will make sure that we give you credit for it. Well, there's a couple of things going on with Voice Prints. One is that in American society, everything has to be proven through science, or it doesn't seem to have any validity. And the reality is that we don't really understand all that there is to understand about science itself. So to say that something isn't valid just because we can't scientifically prove it invalidates a lot of experiences. And I'm a very intuitive individual, and I have been ever since I was a kid. And as a result, I can feel other people's feelings without them even speaking to me about them. And that's very real to me. I don't have any way to scientifically prove that. And I know that I'm not alone in how I feel in this world. And those of us who have the gifts to feel our way through life have a tougher time. And once we acknowledge that when somebody walks into a room and they can feel energy that was left there, or if somebody was talking about somebody else, they can feel the intention left, you know, whether it was positive or negative. It brings us back more to a humanistic way of living, and it's acknowledging that we're all connected. And I believe that's true. For those that are religious, you know, there are several different modalities of religion that state that we shouldn't talk badly of other people. And I believe that this also gives a voice to that as well. But I would not say that the song is religious. I would say that it's acknowledging that we have the ability to tune in and have more of experience of life and what's real and what's truth than we have been trained to do. We've been trained, as at least in America, as a society, that we're just supposed to do what we're told. And so we turn off our internal instincts from, you know, yay high when, you know, we start kindergarten. And so that by the time we become adults, we're so used to being told what to do that we start thinking our way through life rather than feeling our way through life. And thinking our way through life has its place and is important. But if you don't have the balance of both, then it can be a huge disadvantage. So I think the power of voice prints is, you know, it's saying you can deny that you've talked smack about me, but the reality is I know it, I feel it, and that's real, and that's enough for me. We see in the workplace, we see kids in schools walking around with their shoulders hunched over and looking down because there's an energy that when they walk into a space that they feel negativity and it affects other people, and it's really too bad. I have a reputation for being overly happy, and I was put down for a long time about that, and it's really interesting as society has started to make a conscious change that we're going to live more positive and think about things in a different way, that now in the workplace my positive attitude isn't looked at so negatively. But you know, it's taken years for us to get to this place as a society, so I believe I'm giving a voice to that.
I hear your words as I walk through the room. No words spoken, your voice in my head. Emotion dreams you don't believe. Can't you smile for me? Maybe if I loved you, your beauty would reflect back to me. Don't try to convince me you like me. Words linger like dust in the air. Leaving your voice, Prince, I feel you're true.
Okay, welcome back. That was first of all you saw Naomi talking about the song Voice Prince, and then you heard the actual track. So what did we think, Dave?
Well, I love it. The whole image, the whole sort of setup they've got here. I mean, that's the second track that they've written, the second track that they've released. They seem to be writing a track and then releasing it, and it's a really interesting way of doing things. They don't have a whole album yet, but they're building it and releasing it as they go along, which is quite interesting.
In some ways, they're gauging opinion and taking advice on board, and then
It's like a journey, interacting with people, isn't it?
yeah, well, it is,
The
and it's using the new media and online exposure to the best effect, really. And it's a new way of making music, I suppose. You know, I think gone are the days where you go away, write an album, hold your finger up to the wind and hope it succeeds. You know, this
Yeah.
way they kind of finding out what works, what doesn't work, what people like, how much of an audience there is out there, testing it out on radio stations and stuff like that. And I think when they're ready to do the album and they know that they've got the market there for it, that's when they'll go for it.
Yeah, I think they've got a really good way of doing it. I think it's very, very interesting and a good selling point if you want to look from a commercial perspective. From a technical point of view, from a creative point of view, I like what she does. She takes a real emotional moment that we've all probably been through and turns it into quite an epic style track. Obviously Derek is contributing on the musical side of it, but she's got a real spiritual, and the way she talks in the video as well, there's a real spiritual theme to what she does, and I think it's quite raw. I think it's quite organic, and I really like it. I don't think it's everyone's cup of tea, to be honest. I don't think this is for everyone, but then again, what is? But from the people I've spoken to about this track in particular, I know one person I spoke to, she gave me quite a very positive feedback to it, and that was somebody who wasn't particularly fond of remember Enya back in the day?
Oh yeah.
There's a similarity to that. So the fact that she's getting good positive feedback from people who didn't like similar stuff suggests that they must be onto something.
Yeah, definitely. I think they're doing it the right way. You know, I think they're looking at the industry as well, and they're not going to get pushed around by anybody. And I think a lot of artists and musicians are pushed around, and they register with services that you know, I don't want to get into any libel territory here, but you know, less than ethical. And it's good that Derek and Naomi have identified Aurovine as a friendly partner for them, and we've banged on about it since we started. About, you know, we're only interested in an ethical route. You know, we want to help artists.
Yep.
We're old musicians ourselves, and you know, who's to say we won't go back to it at some point? But we do understand what it's like coming from the other side of the fence, and yeah, I think it's important. I think that artists do take time to research online platforms and who's doing what and what share people are getting. You know, without going back into the whole Spotify argument again, a lot of artists say, "Oh, it's a great way of getting our music to fans," and on the surface, it is quite a good if you could treat it as a radio station, but there's no real long-term solution with Spotify, and there's no long-term business plan with it. It doesn't work for artists. So if everybody decided Spotify was going to be the way the music industry was going to go, then we'd be heading to Armageddon. It just wouldn't. It's not going to work.
No.
So while it might look good and work well for people, it has to be sustainable, and we're hoping to build a platform that is sustainable, and everyone gets fair shares.
Absolutely, and I think it's the right thing to do. I think with other bands on Aurovine, like Second Life Band, who are living the dream in that respect, because they're totally independent and financially maintaining themselves. So it's definitely doable, and a long way to continue for Naomi.
Yeah, and the good thing is, I think with releasing one track at a time, there's an anticipation there. They're putting quite a bit into each track and quite a bit into the promotion of each track, so it does create that anticipation for the next one.
Absolutely. Absolutely, because I'm thinking the same thing. Obviously in the video it talks about the third track, which is coming, the competition, which is quite interesting. Yeah, for those people who want to try and give them a name for that song, which is the death of a personality is pretty much what she came up with, or the description of the song. So very interesting to see what that sounds like. Yeah, and along may it continue. So hopefully we'll be seeing more of Naomi. You can check out her Aurovine page anyway, with the 2 tracks that she got up there. NaomiNeuts.aurovine.com, or just type a name into the search bar on the homepage, and you'll get her. We'll move on to Huiya Chen, or Huiya Chen. We're not quite sure how it's pronounced, but that's the local. We have the resident dog in the studio with us this evening.
Yeah, we're
chewing on a plant.
co-presenting the show with a Rottweiler tonight.
But anyway, it's Huiya. I do hope we've pronounced that right, Huiya Chen. But I'm sorry if we haven't. But we're going to move on to you now, and this is like I say, she originated from China, but she now lives in the States. Is that right?
Yep, that's right, and really interesting story. If you haven't read the blog post we did on the Aurovine blog, you should do, because it's quite a touching story there.
It is.
She was she was drawn towards music and drawn towards the piano, had absolutely no encouragement from her parents, no training, nothing basically, no money. She did eventually secretly save up to buy a piano, and forgot that she was living in a second floor apartment or something, so they had a problem getting the piano installed, but she's persevered and self-trained, and the story is really interesting. And you've got to really read the story before you start listening to it, because it makes a lot more sense, because she's definitely not the finished article yet, but
no.
The music, the compositional nature of the music, and the overall kind of feeling you get from it is that there is a musician in there, looking for maybe a little bit of help from a good producer or engineer, someone to take her under their wing, and I think she'd come up with some top quality stuff.
Yeah, and I think it's the whole package, isn't it? It's the whole story, where she's from, the inspiration about it. You've really got to listen to the music and have that in mind. It's not going to be something that you'll expect to see in the top 10 of any pop chart. But when you look at what it is and what it's come from, music isn't about charts, all about charts and commercial element. It's about expression, and it's about capturing a moment and putting it into musical terms, and she does that very, very well. She tells a story with the music, basically, and it's and we'll hear that later on with Graceful Rain. I think that's a good example of capturing a moment of rain. You can listen to that song and you know it's talking about rain. Yeah,
it's very, very spiritual stuff. She makes no attempt to hide that it is spiritually. It's gospel music. It's not gospel music, is it?
It's spiritual music.
It's spiritual music, yeah. So she's got the beliefs in there, and it's kind of. I think it's one of those things you've got to you buy into this story, and the music comes almost secondary at the moment. And it's her love of the piano. You can tell it's someone fighting to realise their passion. And their goal is to make music, and she does it really, really well from somebody who's obviously not had any encouragement or help. It all comes across as this is me. You know, I'm kind of fighting through my day job and through my, you know, any sort of family hurdles that might have been put in my way. And I think she's got the support of her husband and there and everything. But yeah, it's quite a touching story in many ways.
It is indeed. Let's have an introduction to Huiya, and this video here. She introduces herself and plays her.
Yeah, she's similar to Naomi. We'll play the video where Huiya. Sorry, we've not got the right name. You'll have to tell us. Let us know how it's pronounced. Yeah, she talks through it, and then we will listen to the track "Graceful Rain" straight after that.
My journey. I'm enjoying my journey. My music is the feeling of my life. All my bad experience or good experience, it's all become part of my story. That's how my story become beautiful. And I enjoy life, I enjoy my journey. I hope you too. did it. This music, I wrote that long times ago. So I have been playing this music, but I really like this very much. I hope you like it too.
Right, well that was Huiya Chen and Graceful Rain, and as I mentioned earlier, you can really sense the moment, can't you, in that track. It's obviously raining, and it's portrayed very, very well. A very talented way of writing songs.
Yeah, and again, there's quite a lot. I think there's on the album. There's multiple songs on there on the page, so there's plenty to listen to on the Aurovine page. It's strange, actually. I don't know whether it's some kind of Google display ad retargeting, but wherever I've been surfing this week, adverts for her music have been coming up at the side of the page.
Well, there you go. The promo works.
Yeah,
fantastic. Okay, well, one of the things that struck me though from the cinematic sort of feeling that you get from it is, and this is some people I know myself, brothers has tried this as well. There's potentially there's a good market for this type of music in books, in doing the audio for books, and I would definitely recommend that this type of music and Huiya look into that, because there's a real, when you play them, having music when you're listening to reading a book or listening to a book, however it's done, having the right music to set the scene. This does it brilliantly. I think this would be perfect for it. So I just thought I'd add that in. Yeah,
there might be some sync works you can get for soundtrack work. Definitely. I think it could do with probably being, maybe going into a higher end studio next time she records, and just to get the most out of it.
She would have to do that. But I think from what she's got so far, it tells, it shows the talent, it showcases what she's good at. I think, given the opportunity, something like a sync deal comes along, I think they would probably ask her to go and re-record that. But deal with that at the time, don't you?
Yeah, so that's pretty much it, isn't it, for this time?
Yes, that's it for today. That was Naomi Neuts and Huiya Chen. And thank you very much for joining us, and we'll hopefully see you. I'll hear from you for the next one. Goodbye from me,
and goodbye from me.